Hello guys and welcome to my channel. We've had plenty of weird, wonderful, and forward-thinking phone designs over the years. Some even make that slab of glass in your pocket look positively boring. There are those that were plain old weird, while others were as ugly as the residue from an awful truck. The one thing they had in common though is that, often bizarrely, made it into stores and even people's hands. So join us as we count down some of the weirdest, wackiest, and we admit, ugliest phones we've seen over the last couple of decades. In this video we are talking about the craziest smartphones in the world right now. Before we continue our video, make sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the bell icon for more interesting videos. So let's start the video. Number 1. Samsung P300. The Samsung P300 was a titchy phone that resembled a calculator. It was an odd design choice from a company that had crafted some pretty good-looking phones before it, but certainly stood out from the crowd. In 2007, Bang & Olufsen and Samsung joined forces to create the Serenata, a phone with a heavy focus on being a music player with a slide-out speaker. It was fairly bonkers looking and came with a hefty $2,000 price tag too. Before the Serenata, Bang & Olufsen and Samsung had the Serene. It was specifically designed to compete with high-end phones on the market. It had a snazzy design that included a power-assisted hinge to assist opening, an iPod-style scroll wheel, and an LCD display, but lacked decent specs. It also had a few flaws that made things like taking photos difficult and thus didn't prove terribly popular. Number 2. C91 Golden Buddha Phone. In 2009, the C91 Golden Buddha phone appeared. This clamshell-style phone had a luxury gold design with Buddhist stylings centered around a swastika as a symbol of divinity and spirituality. Despite its weird looks, the phone actually wasn't too bad on paper. It had a 2-inch screen, 1.3 megapixel camera, dual SIM support, and more. Number 3. Hayer P7. The Hayer P7 was an extravagant-looking candy bar-styled phone that released in 2004. It had a tiny and slim screen that was only capable of displaying 64 by 128 pixels, a 0.3 megapixel camera, and a quirky design. It was able to last as much as 6 days on a single charge though, so there's that. Number 4. LG G Flex. LG is the company of bendy screens, epitomized by the LG G Flex smartphone. While Samsung is pursuing the same goal, it is not quite at the same level. Honestly, have very mixed feelings about the whole flexible screen thing. In TVs, we're quite sure curved screens are pretty pointless. In phones and wearable technology, it makes more sense. After all, if you can make a screen bend, then you might start to follow the curves of the body, or make phones that are more compact when you don't need them, and large when you do. It's some back to the future level stuff. The G Flex is a product worthy of consideration all on its own. It's based on the LG G2, a phone that we really loved. It uses the same processor, memory, and has the same high-quality audio support, which we love it for. However, the G Flex has a lower resolution OLED screen. And that's interesting because LG says this improves the speed of the phone and battery longevity per charge. Improvements or not, the G Flex is a phone that many will find that downright strange. We spent some time with the handset to see if we could love its curve or not. We do love the G Flex because it's an interesting phone and one that worked for us. However, the reality is that most people will find it's too big, too irregularly shaped, and most crucially of all, too expensive. There will, of course, be those for whom this is a great choice, and to those people we can't endorse it enough. But for the majority, this curved phone probably isn't the smartphone you're looking for. Number 5. Virgin Mobile Lobster. Back in 2006, the Virgin Mobile Lobster was a television phone, a phone you could watch TV on. At the time, it might have been a bit of a marvel, but that's so common now it's almost archaic. The Lobster had a DAB digital tuner and the ability to watch terrestrial television on the go. Alas, getting signal was a faff, and this Lobster was undercooked. Number 6. Microsoft Kin. The Microsoft Kin was a bit of a flop. Its launch was delayed due to issues with the operating system, had problems with pricing, and also seemingly was put on the back burner due to the upcoming release of the Windows Phone 7. Number 7. Motorola Flip-Out. The Motorola Flip-Out is none of the above. You see, the Flip-Out is a dinky square handset, 67 by 67 by 17 millimeters, with a very responsive touchscreen display on top and a QWERTY keyboard that swivels, or as Motorola says, rotates, out from a central pivot in the top left-hand corner, giving the phone its name. That swivel action, which is incredibly addictive for those always looking for something to play with in their pocket, is also the way to answer calls. The idea is that most of the time you don't have to open the handset at all, but merely interact with its features via the 2.8-inch, 320 by 240 pixel resolution display. But when you need to do some typing, you can swivel out the keyboard and bash your thoughts down, without having to struggle with a fiddly on-screen keyboard, on what, it has to be said, is a screen smaller than most of its rivals. That display is responsive, easy to use, and although small, still big enough to punch numbers in or surf the internet. Aimed at the mid to low end of the smartphone pile, plastic is the key ingredient in the Flip-Out's casing, although this does allow for a range of colors, from fairway green, saffron and raspberry crush, as well as licorice, brilliant blue, poppy red, and white, and yes, they will be interchangeable. It goes with the snappy, zippy appeal and no doubt will be loved by the phone's audience, the hip 20-something that the Microsoft kin tried to get and failed. Number 8. Motorola StarDeck Rainbow. One of the oldest phones on our list is a product of the 1990s. A colorful little flip phone device from Motorola that was released as part of the company's StarDeck range. It was certainly loud, proud, and anything but subtle compared to today's smartphones. Number 9. Nokia 7280. The 7280, for most people, takes this approach a tad too far. For starters, there is no numbered dial pad, the screen doubles up as a mirror when not in use, and there is even a fabric label to suggest it's something more than just your average phone. From the outset, the 7280's design couldn't be further looking from the phone that it is. Long, thin, and straight, the phone offers a display, a jog wheel, and a few buttons on its front, and that's it. Similar to the Haier P6 we reviewed last year, the phone expects you to use it on the side rather than upright. However, unlike the Haier P6, this Nokia is a beauty to behold. The beauty element comes in its retro 60s styling with a highly polished case covered with geometric white lines over it. See images for a better idea. The 65 LCD display, resembling Philips mirror televisions, is hidden behind a mirrored screen. Vain types will be happy to know it's big enough to get a good enough view to don makeup or check your hair. Pulling the phone apart, as if it were your favorite lipstick, reveals a digital camera. Number 10. Nokia 7700. The Nokia 7700 was an interesting device that never was. It was intended to be a media-centric device with a large 3.5-inch color touchscreen with a resolution of 640 by 320 pixels. It certainly would have been a weird-looking device that would have stood out from the crowd. This phone was also set to include a full suite of applications including a word processor, spreadsheets, and more. It was unfortunately canceled in 2004, likely due to the company refocusing on standard mobile phones due to decreasing market share. That's all for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed our video. For more videos, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon for more interesting videos. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day.